Hello.
Hey, Andrew, how are you
Hi.
doing?
Good. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm with Sandy's. I think she's setting this thing up so it's all plugged in and it won't give out on us or anything.
I see Sandy's hand.
Yeah, that's Sandy's hand.
Hi,
Sorry.
Sandy's hand.
Hi, Sandy's hand.
Hey, Jeff. Good to see you.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff? Yeah, I'm
Andrew.
good. Good.
Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. Been watching a lot of the streams. I've been really enjoying everything. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, we sure appreciate you
Oh yeah.
having faith in all this.
Oh, well, it's important because I'm a breeder, and preservation and protection of your stuff is a big deal, especially as a breeder. It's pheno hunts are very long, and to do it right, you have to really hunt for a long time. And uh, the one that I entered in Canopy Right was one. It took 3 years to find the right male that says, okay, I can work with this and put my name on it proudly. And you want to preserve that for sure.
Andrew, I want to introduce you to Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
She's one of the teammates. She created
Awesome.
the design of what you're using to make sure that it works.
Very smart.
Possible.
Very
for
smart.
You guys.
Yeah, no, when Sandy explained everything to me, and the more I learned, I thought, geez, that's a pretty slick run. It's very, very efficient and easy to work with because you're able to keep it on your person. That's what stands out to me, keeping it on your person and being able to pretty much document and catalog what you've worked so hard on. It's a lot.
Well, we have some. I just found out. Kelsey might have already known this. Jeff might have already known this, but I found out some exciting news that on the 30th, you'll actually be able to utilize it from your phone.
That's awesome.
And we weren't quite expecting that. So it's going to be really, really accessible, which we're grateful for. But as folks come in, let's, kind of say hello. And everyone that's coming in, we're Canopy Right, and we are a blockchain system that helps protect genetics. I'm Lelania Dubois, and I am the community builder in this team. You're going to hear hello from my two teammates, Jeff Hamilton and Kelsey Parker. And we're coming on to IG Live on Wednesdays and Fridays to talk to some of the creators that have put their magical creations into Canopy Right to protect them. And Andrew, aka the Stink Bank, is one of those magicians. So let's first, most folks, you can find out about us through our IGs online. But Jeff and Kelsey, you want to say hi to everyone real quick?
Sure. I'll go first. I'm Jeff. I'm the founder and I'm the lawyer.
I'm Kelsey, and I'm the user interface designer and do a lot of other things too. But right now, just focused on making sure the product is perfect and is constantly fitting every need as we test it and get more people using it. So if you ever have ideas, let me know. I'll make them happen.
Yeah, or if you want to change anything, let us know.
Yeah.
And I'm Lelania, or aka Lele, and I am the community builder and kind of the communicator in the group, getting to work directly with the breeders and hopefully finding lots of magical matches for these breeders. But we're really not here to talk about us. We want to learn from you today, Andrew, and I'd love to start.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit of your origin story around the plant.
It's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one for sure. Because I grew up in a very athletic environment. I wrestled my whole life, and everybody. So I had to keep a lot of this to myself. So I was a really casual smoker. I've always been in small, insignificant grows. But I realized, I love the plant. It wasn't about just smoking it for me. Then when I got to college, one of my teammates was from, if you're familiar with Humboldt and Trinity County, Highway 36, just one of those beautiful highways you'll ever see, right? Well, their family was from there, and we got really close. So it turns out that my introduction to everything were 25-foot wide Katsu Bubba plants during college. So I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do this. So I actually just went in pretty hard with it. And after college, went in the military, but still remained very close with the cannabis, kept up with everything. Somebody that I served with, we're on the same page. So we had our own little network. But once I got out, I started really finding myself hunting and growing sours, heavy myrcene and caryophyllene stuff, really putrid. And I was able to get a cut of GG4 from Josie Wales. And it was such a fantastic resin production and beautiful. And I wanted to cross it with something. So I started hunting the Jack Harrers. I think Sandy, I'm over here.
You can't see him, Sandy.
I'm going to move. Anyway, I started hunting the Jack Harrer varieties and started talking to other people and working with, I was really blessed with the types of people that I was introduced to and was able to work with, because these people have been breeders for a long time, and I was able to learn what a keeper male was, opposed to just, hey, I popped a male, I'm going to work with it. Males that were really tall, I had generally tall, so very hemp dom, and you want to see what they can take. I would find still do this. You find a male that's a potential keeper, and you torture test it. You see how long it can go. There'd be 4 or 5 days without water, because you want the strongest when you want to pass on genetics like that. Yeah, and it was interesting to see this male hunt, because you already have the female locked in. That GG4 is priceless. It's matching her. So I'm finding some plants can go 4, 5, 6 days without water and still just prey into the light. And other ones were just completely gone. So then you take a cut of that one and keep working with that. And I had already had a good Jack the Ripper male, so hunted that to cross into the GG4, and that took a long time to find the true Jack shape, the short, the squat, the fat leaf, I wanted to stick to very traditional traits, heavy limonene, heavy myrcene, caryophyllene, all those stinky terpenes. Nothing against the fruity terps or anything like that. I love them. I love guava and all that stuff, but I just have a real love for the lost as they call the lost 80s terpene profiles. But what I entered in Canopy Right, and what I'm probably the most proud of up to this point, is how that turned out. You have even expressions of both parents. Some phenos that are glue dominant. It literally smells like airplane glue and burnt rubber, heavy chemi, soury smell, but it matches so well with the undertones of the Meyer lemon from the Jack variety, because there's 2 Jacks in the stud, so it's kind of like I would imagine at first it was going to be heavier on the Jack side, but it was 50-50, but the reason it was a success was the proper pheno hunt. It's really tough to truly find the best male while growing a couple. You have to really grow a lot and pick the best, because one thing that you don't want to preserve is something that is going to harm or has poor resistant to mold traits, things like that. So finding the right breeding stock is a completely different ballgame, and a lot of times it matches well with one and maybe not the other. So I don't necessarily pollen chuck everything and see how everything turns out. I really like to match the mother and stud stock to make it exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm very proud of that Sicilian fishing trip that's uploaded in Canopy Ride. It's a banger. It's a really beautiful plant. But,
well, I find it fascinating that you know so much about the males, because it, you know, in the more mainstream conversation, there hasn't been a lot of talk about the male.
And it's all about the proper breeder male. Like, really, if you don't have, geez, and it's funny too, because there's not a ton of information, even through books that I've obtained and things that I've read. All of this was, you know, Oaksterdam had a thing. That's where I first learned about hemp type. They called it hemp type and drug type is what they referred to it as. And hemp types were just what you were tossing, the ones that were just really there was just complete air through the middle of the stalk, just nothing. It's just, and internodal spacing of a foot or more, and then you'd find some with these soft. You'd swear they're female until they started showing signs of male qualities. But finding the right male turned out to be the biggest challenge I've seen in cannabis, to be quite honest. To find if you know, because anything you do, you know, you want to do the best you can possibly do. So if I'm going to breed a cultivar, I'm going to pheno hunt the heck out of this stuff and find the best. But males, it's interesting because that's what it's all about, and there's very little information on what the right traits in the male is.
We have a breeder who's actually secured a male in Canopy Ride, because there's also researchers are asking for people, like, you know, genome companies and stuff like that are asking for people to start sending them males so they can start studying and looking at that.
100%. Yeah, I think it's a whole other department in the cannabis industry that people just, like at the Emerald Cup, great moms, but the males that showed up there were people who knew each other, who, you know, there wasn't like males for sale, breeder males and things like that. So it's and a lot of the like, for instance, for right now, I'm doing another sour mass super skunk hunt, but I'm seeing it's really beautiful. It's crossed with a T1000, which I haven't ran that on its own, but what I'm seeing in this is a lot of the males are all big hemp type males, and had I not been taught about what a right breeder male was, I would have just assumed, okay, hey, this is a male, I'm going to keep this. And not to mention the torture tests, the making sure, put it in a cold room. I mean, you really give it a beating to say, okay, I'm going to keep this one, because some, like I say, some will wilt after a day, and some are just asking for more after day 5, and those are the strong ones. So
Bud Barn is saying that you've taught them almost everything they know about breeding, and
he's a good buddy of mine. Bud Barn is a good buddy of mine. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's worked with I've sent him some of Ken's GDP. I've known him for years. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Yeah, Bud Barn.
And then Tiny Dragon Genetics out of South Africa is asking, do you know what a dumper male is? I haven't heard of that term. Have you?
I've heard that term, a dumper male. I would assume that means, because it's either one that really produces or one that's infertile, one of the two. A dumper male, I think I'm getting... I don't know. A dumper male.
Dragon.
A dumper male. I probably should know what a dumper male is, but explain it to me, I'm sure. But even with some males, though, you'll see that these are the keepers. And you'll think at first, okay, this is going to really produce, and it gives you nothing. And then others just, you just tap it, and then the entire room is like a slow yellow tsunami. And anything inside is going to get pollinated. So I don't know. I would hope that's a dumper male. I mean, that's what I would call a dumper male.
what I visually see when I hear the word pollinating male plants.
But speaking of South Africa, you want to talk about some putrid stuff that I've been very blessed to run is the Durban poison. I mean, those South African, some of the best land races I've ever had have come from that area, and that's another area that I think is being not neglected. I think a lot of it is people just flat out don't have. You tell them, hey, this is a 23-week finisher, they'll think, nah, I don't want to do that. But, it's a long patience thing. But a good buddy of mine went to the Indian state of Manipur, and he brought back a lot of Manipuri seeds, which turns out to be very heavy. And I think alpha pinene is what it was really heavy in. It's really stinky. Yeah. I think it had more of that. Alpha, beta pinene, and heavy myrcene, just stinky, putrid. The stem. Caryophyllene. Yeah, caryophyllene. Correct.
Yeah. That is a strong. I have an allergic reaction to that one.
Is that right? You know what? You're about the third or fourth person I've heard say that. I honestly wondered what because there are some terpenes that I don't agree with, and others I have a different experience with, but I've never had a reaction like that. That's interesting. I hate it because a lot of that caryophyllene stuff is really good.
I have a spinal cord injury, and I deal with severe pain, and it is really good for the pain. But what I'm learning is that there's terpenes that kind of help compensate. So some mixes, I can have the beta caryophyllene, and then I do okay. But like I picked up something the other day, and it just constricts it's like I took a big old vape hit.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah. My sinuses swell. It's a total allergic reaction. One of my this Tiny Dragon Genetics is talking about African land races, and one of my dreams is to get down there and get to walk in some of those gardens.
There are some sites in Johannesburg, those areas.
What was that, Jeff?
We got to get someone from Africa to come on the show.
Absolutely.
Right. So maybe Tiny Dragon Genetics, we can get you, show you the system, and we'd love to have a conversation.
Jeff, right.com, send me an email. We'll set it up.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Heck yeah! Oh,
yeah, it's like the old, seeing wild fields of that type of cannabis is beautiful, and it's because Durban poison is easily one of the most heady, perfect as far as perfection can go in cannabis is in a land race. It's up there. And the Manipuri ones that I'm growing from, I'm crossing that with another Indian land race, the Kerala, I believe is how you pronounce it. And it'll be heavy sativa, but we're trying to just keep a lot of land race genetics going and hit it with a natural Afghanistan land race from Mazar al-Sharif. Like just a fat indica, just to slow down the flowering time a little bit. Because with breeding, that's something, nobody really wants to run a 25-week garden, but it's necessary in some situations.
I think, we've been so focused on pumping out the baby, pumping it out, that I think we're gonna see folks wanting, especially folks who've been smoking the plant for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For the diversity, we haven't even. There's just so much more out there to taste. I want to talk to you about the Durban poison, because that isn't. I feel like there's like two different kinds out there. The one that I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like it was really, really spicy. And then there's another one that seems like it has more like limonene in it, or it's more citrusy.
That's what I would consider. That's what I would call the Durban poison that I know, as I know it. it's sort of like, unfortunately, it's unfortunate because I'm seeing things that are supposed to have Chem Dog in it, and there's just no sign of Chem Dog or anything in it, and it could be an honest mistake. It really could, but unless it's like Gorilla Glue 4, had I not ran that 1,000 times, I wouldn't know. But if somebody else had a different experience with something, but Durban Poison, it seems like it's been put out by a couple of different people, and I don't know. I would love to have one from a field in Durban.
One of the things.
I've got this one from Ghost Dance Farms. It has like a gassy smell. You were with me when
it's putrid. Durban Poison is putrid. Yeah, it's putrid. It was funny because that's the only cultivar in my entire life that I've woken up and had to move the jar because it just kept waking me up. It was so putrid, but it's a staple, I would say, Durban Poison, and I've just been driven more towards the sour stuff, and lately I haven't averted away from it except for the Sandy's. She has a Guava Kush that's amazing. That, and then I was gifted a 96 skunk we're going to be putting into Canopy right next. That's our next thing to put in Canopy right, because it is a fact that a lot of skunk terpenes have been bred out of rotation, and as they come back in, because prior to Prop 64, you were able to really hunt massive hunts. You could go to Harborside, for instance, in Oakland, and you could get 99, and all just one sunrise. They say, hey, no, you can take 6. That's all you can do, man. So doing massive hunts made it more possible to find the really skunky stuff to preserve it. But once I got that 96, which Sandy grew outside this year, it's really, really special. It's very resilient, and it actually smells like a skunk. I think there's 2 kinds of skunk smells in cannabis. One is like just a funky cannabis smell, and the other one's like a spray skunk cannabis smell, and that's where the 96 is at. And keeping those as into a format like Canopy Right is very special because it's always there. When you find something and it's worth keeping, it's available to those who really need it and can seriously benefit from it. That's why I like the whole vibe of the program itself, is how it's ran and the accessibility.
I appreciate.
Can we talk about this question from Three Dogs Farmer below?
Yeah, it's kind of actually what Andrew.
Oh, go for it. I can't even see that.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good question. So if you're submitting something, you have 3 options to describe it. So 1, you're the original breeder. 2, it's a collaboration. And then 3, you are the steward. So it's not something that you necessarily bred yourself, but something that you have for some reason that you want to sort of create a record of. I just wanted to make sure that we're clear that not everything that goes into Canopy Right is something that you're claiming that you are the original breeder of.
No.
We also give you other options.
No. Well, it's just like the No, I think that's very important. I think that's I agree 100%. I think when you put it in the system, you put it in as you're in possession of this cut, and that's what it is. It's preservation over everything. And like you mentioned before, if things aren't on the up and up, they don't stay there, and that's important too. So,
into these, like skunk one, I'm second generation person of this conversation, and we have a skunk, and it wasn't called skunk then. They just called it skunk because when you said plants that you move away, I grew up with the plants that made you sick when you were in the
Right.
garden. We used
Yeah.
to pick skunks up from the side of the road and put it in front of the house so it would cover up the smell.
Throw it off. Absolutely.
And the story goes, and I'm friends with Ryan, and who used to be in partnership with Sam or David. And the story here goes from an 80-year-old back to the hippie is that, you know, someone brought some seeds in, or someone brought in some weed, and they liked it so much, said, no, this is dense. This has a completely different smell to what we're growing. Bring back seeds next time. And those seeds got spread out in all sorts of ways. So one of the things that I love so much about Canopy Right is that we're not saying, Andrew, you're the bomb, Donkey Kong, you're it. We're saying, show us the money.
Far from it. Yeah.
History. Show us any tests you have, whatever you have. And what we've learned through this process is that the plant sings for us. It shines because of your work and other people's work. It really speaks for itself.
Well, into a lot of things, like let's say 96 skunk, for instance. Let's say you have, for instance, 25 seeds of this 96 skunk, and you grow them and you find a pheno that you haven't seen it before. It's something that stands out the most. Well, of course I'm not the creator of 96 skunk, but I found this really good pheno of it that deserves to be stuck around. So no, that's silly to think, you know, oh yeah, no, I found a good pheno of it and I'm going to keep it and keep it going because it's special.
What I think also is in a lot of these older genetics, and it's not really I think it's what science is showing us, is in these older genetics, there's some really special traits. And I don't want to see those traits get patented by someone who doesn't have the community values that the creator has. Or
100%. I agree wholeheartedly.
It gives you a little more control over that process to do whatever you want to do with it.
Exactly. And, you know, there might be somebody that says, hey, I would love to work with, you know, Gorilla Glue 4. I like it for this, that, and the third. And, oh, if it's crossed with a couple of jack studs, well, man, I could really use that. And if you can't, great. There's a lot more stuff on Canopy Right that would be very beneficial. That's the point. It's like a directory of
and you guys
cultivars that are worth it.
Well, that's a beautiful point, Andrew. You're right. And it's already happening within the group. It's like you just mentioned ChemDog. Well, we've got Rare Breed, who's a part of this conversation, and he was passed down ChemDog from the original.
Sure.
So like all of a sudden, there's that amazing relationship for all these creators to have access to those beautiful, stable land races. Jeff, do you want to? Yeah. I'm sorry, Andrew.
No.
There's some questions. Jeff, do you want to address some of that?
I think the most recent. There might be more. Okay, I'm going to start from the top, and if somebody thinks that I missed something, just let me know. I'm going to answer any question. Anyone can pop seed, select the pheno, and potentially submit it as their own, even though the work was done by another breeder. So we give you these options. This is my original work, or this is a collaboration, or I'm a steward. So anytime you say that something's your original work, what you're representing in your contract with any buyer is that it's an original work of cannabis breeding. So if you don't feel like you can show this is your original work, then don't call yourself the original breeder in the registration function. So
make it clear.
So it's a matter of contract law, what you're willing to attest to if you're going to try to sell your work. Hopefully that answers the first question. And if the person doing the work does get properly credited, yes, that is exactly what we want. We give you a lot of places to do it. We give you this long description to tell exactly where it came from. And the beauty of saying that you are the steward of something that you you found somewhere is that you get to tell the story for the world, for consumers, for the market, for medicine. And we're just giving you a place to do that. But if you don't want to represent in a contract that something's an original work of cannabis breeding, then don't check the box, check the other box. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't patent.
Yeah. It's like having a pheno, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only trademark. So you can patent plants. There are lots of cannabis patents. There's two types of patents. There's plant patents and utility patents. A plant patent is just for plants that are asexually reproduced, so clones, not seeds. Utility patent will apply to seed propagated plants. Think Monsanto soybeans. They definitely have a patent for that. Can you trademark a name? You can't get a federal trademark, but you can get a state trademark. Sorry, I'm taking away from this to answer legal questions, but I'm happy to continue to do that.
No, these are all great. I mean, very. I get them. Yeah, I can dig it. Yeah. I mean, the questions are great, but I think a lot of people. It sounds like a lot of it is, when you enter something in canopy, right? You're not like, I'm the breeder of what I call the Sicilian fishing trip. As a little bit of humor there, but I didn't create the GG4, nor did I create Jack Herer or Jack the Ripper. But I put those three together, and whoever would put that in there as even if I give someone seeds of SFT, Sicilian fishing trip, and they find a better pheno, hey, I think it would be great if they found a good, great, expression of care that I haven't seen. I think it's all about keeping the right. Yeah, it is, and I think most breeders take it very serious. We love our work. We spend years on it, doing the proper hunting and putting it out there. But if you found a pheno like the 96 skunk, that pheno in particular, I'm very blessed to have that. I got that from a buddy that got it from Mel Frank, and he got it from Skunkman Sam. So it was fantastic to come across that. So I'm the type that would rather, if somebody really wants to work with it and do something really great with it, I would love to see it continued. But if you put it in there, I would put it in there as my phenotype variety of the genotype 96 skunk, I suppose, is how it would go down.
You through that, right, as you're going through the registration process.
Absolutely. It's very easy, too. It's very straightforward, that process. It really is.
Good job, Kelsey.
And what we found just in these conversations is that everyone has granular detail about the lineages of the things in their garden. And it's a lot of information that people are keeping in their heads and have been keeping in their heads for decades.
Sure.
But it's incredible. Everyone knows exactly where all of their plants came from, dating back, a decade. I don't know. It was like really cool because I don't remember what I had for lunch today, but tell me where you got this plant and where the person who gave it to you got it, and where the person who gave it to you got it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, it's much. Yeah.
About this question on patenting, so the difference between if you change a clone even slightly, then your plant patent is invalidated. But lots of people have gotten plant patents for cannabis. They kind of happen every day. And there's lawyers who specialize just in plant patents for cannabis.
And I would not say that we, me as a daughter from the back to the land, I am not a fan of patenting. I don't think any of the team here is. However, we are a fan of the power being in the people's hands. And as this industry evolves, we keep seeing that getting snatched away.
Yeah.
And truly, my passion behind this is about the community and the culture. And these genetics are a vital piece of that really could save the world in so many different ways. But if it gets out there and it gets adulterated by people who don't understand the plant or love the plant, then we have dishonored her. And
Sure.
I'm sorry, it's just that this is also about how do we do that in this world of policy, legalization, laws. And that's what Canopy Right has done, is given us this tool with all those things that, you know, really isn't what I'm about, but to move forward in a safer manner with accountability around the art being created.
For sure.
It really is a lot more than about us. It's a very,
oh yeah,
cannabis is just the beginning of the conversation around plant medicines and how we have to keep them pure, so they do heal the world.
absolutely. And that's why I encourage this greatly for people to have, R&D tests, have them to know exactly what you have, to know exactly what you're working with, to be able, it's like, my other love, I'm an artifact hunter. I like to find artifacts, and I like cannabis. I want to trace that sucker back to, I want to know exactly what I have, and so with anything that I grow, I'm a little hesitant of unknown things. I want to know exactly what I have so I can keep a truthful record of the lineage, for the benefit of other folks who want to grow it and expect to grow what's in there. If you're looking for a heavy lemon cultivar, then you work with those. But it's very important to have everything tested and know exactly what you have. I think that's very important. But some people know after growing something a long time, or having a long period of time growing a certain cultivar or a certain variety, like they only run Kims and Sours, and that's all they've run for 30 years. And they probably know a little bit about it, but when you're putting it in Canopy Right, the more information, the better, for sure.
And what I'd like to add to that, Andrew, is don't be afraid of the information, because what I'm learning is that the information just validates the breeder's intuition. When I walked through the gardens everyone knew what their special plant was, and now that they're testing it, they knew. They really did know.
And one thing that scares me is, an allergic reaction to beta caryophyllene. Like, we're only
that's a good point.
Figure out how to provide the best medicine to patients if we have data.
Absolutely.
So and we talk about this a lot when it comes to like naming conventions. Well, what does Gorilla Glue number 4 say about the therapeutic effects, if any? I mean, I've had Gorilla Glue number 4 before, so I know that there are, but like, we have to move to a place where we can give people targeted medicine to help them with their ailment, and without data, you're not going to be able to do that.
No.
And the people in their data, that's why.
Yeah.
Your data.
We lost Kelsey, really, I think she was giving a plug for data privacy.
I don't know if Kelsey's in Humboldt, but it is really stormy here, so I'm not surprised.
Is it? We got a break a little bit. We got a couple of day break. It's been pretty daggone crazy. We nuts.
Coming apparently, but today I think it literally rained cats and dogs.
Do you know, I have in my main facility, I have emptied the dehumidifier, which holds like 5 gallons every couple hours. I'm in there. I can't believe it. It's this race to keep it at about 51% humidity at any cost, or else it'll just go straight up. I've never seen that dehumidifier fill up like that.
Thank you. I don't know if African Bush Doctors is signing out. He says it's nighttime.
I hope all's well in that neck of the woods. It's beautiful down there. Johannesburg, Cape Town. I'm actually very familiar with RSA.
Yes, and we do. I think that's part of, I mean, not only the plant is this amazing medicine is going to help this world move forward towards healing, but I hope that it does help us all connect more globally, because it gives us
absolutely
something really powerful in common as well. We will definitely be reaching out after this conversation, African book doctors,
because there's some very special stuff down there. I'd love to hear him talk about what's growing in that area wherever he's at. So
okay. I'm on a mission.
Peace and love, my friend. Yeah, for sure.
I do.
Yeah.
I have
absolutely
a love for the region myself. Doesn't have anything to do with weed, but I definitely wish to know more. So Andrew, where, like, you talked about, like, stressing the males. These guys were talking about how they stress the female and males. I was curious, where, you know, I know kind of the area you're at, I'm assuming, because I actually grew in Lake County for a little bit. Tough place, man. I thought Humboldt was tough. Ooh, man, you guys play hard.
This is but I'll tell you one thing about this area. You can, and it's same with Humboldt and things, but I mean, you can grow some giants. However, this year, Sandy and I were talking about this earlier today, because a lot of growers in this region have all said the same thing. There's been a lot of thrips this year. And one of the theories is maybe they got pushed in with these massive fires, you know, because I live near the water, and I face a little bit of different things than what other people that are very close to me might face. But, you know, you're talking, as you know, I mean, if you had a temperature gauge at the base of the plant in the right places in Lake County, 118 degrees, you know, that's hot.
I was blown away. So I was really into genetics because of my spinal cord injury, and I was a vertical indoor grower. And I moved. It's a big, gnarly story, but one day I had to drive a semi with my 4-year-old son and 350 plants and all the equipment to take care of 350 plants to Lake County and my mother's. And it was really terrifying. But what I was shocked about and really naive about is that even in indoor, the transition impacted my garden immensely. And that you guys have CO2 over there. And then that summer I grew in the dirt outdoors in a big out in Morgan Valley. And it was like, it's really dry. So you were mentioning that, and, you know, we have dry farming up here in Humboldt, and I mean, dry farming happens all over the world. I was wondering if you're doing some of that.
I'm not personally doing dry farming, but it could definitely be done here for sure. This is definitely the area for it because of how dry it is. Sandy, do you have anybody that's done dry farming?
You need a little water.
Yeah.
I don't think water under the ground. I haven't done that yet.
Maybe around the lake there's some springs around there somewhere, but
it'd be interesting because this is the county that you could do that in. But the one thing about it's crazy because the ones outside that got like the skunk varieties, the guava, there was a few others that just completely took that heat. As long as you kept it good and watered, which was a lot. We used some hay on top just to keep, you know, the moisture right, because, you know, it's what compensates for it is the relatively cool nights, at least in the area that I'm at. But during the day, it really, even like you said, the transitioning outside it's a big deal. I've made some plants are make or break whether they can make the transition outdoors or not.
But that is, I come from Burnt Ranch, And we
Yeah.
have that. We're like real rocky high, and we have the really hot days and then those cool out mountain nights with the ocean breeze that comes in because we're so high. So you
Yeah.
probably get that. And I think we get some of the sweetest terpene profiles because of that combo.
Very possible. Very possible.
Sounds like you might have a
'Cause
little bit of that yumminess.
and we have a lot of volcanic soil too. You know, this is big obsidian area, and I know some of the cannabis from Humboldt, ones that were grown like southeastern Garberville area was much different than what was grown in like Willow Creek or McKinleyville.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they were different profiles.
Yeah, I get to go in all those regions, and they all, I feel, have, I think we're going to see that they all have certain things that they produce better, more of, whatever, you know, end game will be like,
Yeah.
oh, Willow Creek grows really good THCV. Oh, Garberville grows really, you know, things like that. Because they all have their own little personality. I mean, even if you look at land
awesome there. Yeah.
When you look at land races, you can, I feel, when I smoke, you can feel the vibration of the culture that you're smoking, you know, like mellow or hyper or whatever, but you can like see that come through the way the plant impacts you, I feel like. And it's just going to be so beautiful as people come out more and more and we're able to unify to get to see what that painting looks like. I can't wait.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the whole. That's what I love about the catalog. Back to Canopy, I mean, and that's where Canopy Right comes in, really, because you have like if I wanted to find some of those profiles, somebody would have them cataloged in the system, and it would have good, easy access to. So just the idea and the thought of having that kind of sky's the limit mentality with it, whatever I need to work with, somebody will have it, is awesome. I know it's a little off topic, but I'm trying to conjoin the two.
No, that's why we're doing
this.
This is what I love about lives, is it's just roll, and we appreciate you supporting us in that.
Yeah, when it was explained to me at first, it made, because we were talking about this a few months ago. There was an event in Oakland when I first heard about it, and the more I learned about it and realized that you go through but at the end of the process, you keep the lead, you keep the product, and there's a lot of integrity involved. There's a lot of hard work involved, but integrity at the end of all of it with it, because you want to pass along the best things. You want to preserve the best things you possibly can. So, and having a phenotype of something that has a different expression than something else that you've seen, that's your pheno of it. That's the one you found, but you wouldn't claim to be the breeder of it. I have in possession this phenotype expressions. Like there was I tested for one of my mentors years ago, and he had Jack the Ripper and Vortex and things. And the Vortex, we grew out so many of them, and they had such a vast variety of terpene profiles. And one in particular just had this rancid smell, and it was very racy, like lemony mango ones, but let's say like the one that was really smelly. In my case, that's the one I would have kept and uploaded, and preserved. But people like different things, I suppose. But good cannabis is good. It's worth being preserved, and
it is. It's and your art is worth being preserved, right? It's like
it is.
When you're talking about, like when you were talking about the male and hunting the different males and figuring it out, to me, that is like Picasso going, oh, let me mix that red with a little bit of white. And the way you mix your red and white is going to be totally different than like
absolutely.
Hi, Mr. D.
Absolutely.
You know, but they're both necessary. We need Picassos, and we need, I don't know, what's some modern Marvel comic person artist. We need all of it. For the world to be beautiful.
It takes every kind to make the wheel turn, and it's interesting you say that, because you feel in a way. Because, hey, some of these males that you've been growing that don't stand up, I mean, you got to toss them, and you don't really like doing that. You spend time with them, but at the end of the day, man, I really think I can get a better lemon funk out of this. So let me hunt this. So in that case, it would be Jack the Ripper along with the Jack Herrera, and I just got this double funky lemon that I had been after, the elusive how a Jack should be. And if I chose something else from the same line, it would have been a good turnout. So it's very much an art form. Breeding is very much an art form, and I can't reiterate it enough. There's just not a lot of information out there about proper breeding. I've had to learn. I was lucky enough to learn that from people that I consider. And not just me, a lot of people would agree, these are some of the best breeders that they've ever known, and to have learned from them and have put what I've learned. They taught me how to fish instead of giving me fish to eat, for sure.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, when you go to the store, you don't really you go to the store, you see this shelf full of jars with these flowers in them, but you don't really know the story of where.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that, actually, because we joke about that sometimes. But me and a couple of breeder buddies will say, some people think this stuff just comes in a jar. We're out there pheno hunting and chopping down, and he's absolutely right. I
mean, it's better that it comes in a jar than in a baggie in a parking lot, but still,
depends on the perspective.
But the story is important.
It is.
Hearing from hearing from the creator, like where this came from, why you made it, and what you would use it for, and like the settings, there's you could look at a wine bottle and it's like a wine and cheese pairing, or I don't know what wine bottles say, but
that's a good comparison, actually.
Is you should be able to. That should come from the creator.
Yeah, and to hear, it's like I hear a vintner talk about something that's really special to them. It's more. I'm not a wine person, but I have a great respect for vintners and their palate, because there's definitely a parallel between the two. Someone who wants to smoke the best cannabis on the planet, just like someone who wants to find the best grapes to produce the best wine that they could possibly have. And you have a palate for, you can taste this and, okay, this is good for this, and I can pair it with whatever. A lot of that is very much cannabis, because before me personally, or anybody that would want to put their name proudly on something that you've bred, you want to make sure it tastes good, it looks great, it's worth someone's time to grow. But above all of that, you put all the love you have into that, and you've regardless of other projects that may have not worked, you keep plugging, you keep going. And eventually you come to hunt something that's really worth preserving and really worth keeping. And when you grow it, you think, all right, that's pretty daggone good. So being able to hunt properly and I would rather go to the harvest way instead of just working with just anything. I'd rather go the hard way.
I see a future where, just like, Pablo Picasso was, people are going to seek breeders out, like Mr. D just said, like the artists, and they're going to want to commission projects because you did create something that was so skunky or so chemy or whatever it was they're desiring, and they're going to seek out those artists. And this system is a way to show that, oh, you got a really rare pigment in that brush stroke. Oh, you used your backyard tree for that ink. It's a way to show your art without fear of it being co-opted.
Exactly. For sure.
This is,
that's a very good
design this whole system so that it compensates breeders like artists. That's a real mission. And there's this sort of the archival features, but all of the commercial features of Canopy Right the goal is to treat you like an artist and pay you like an artist.
Well, and it's because I can't think of anything more artistic than breeding. And what's funny is I was an art major in college. I mean, only to stay eligible for college wrestling. Not that I don't have a love for art, but I had to keep my grades on the NCAA okay list. But I did a lot of welding to do it, the sculpture degree. But the art and the sculpture kind of went on to the breeding of the cannabis too. And I don't think Canopy Right or breeding at all is for the casual grower or the casual smoker. It's a deep love to do that, because it's it's not easy growing a room of males, and you have to use your best judgment and say, you know what, I just don't think I could put my name on any of these. So you shop them and you put up some more, and to make sure your art is exactly how you want it to be. So it's all about the pheno hunt. But
Sandra and I will take those males and juice them. Heal ourselves.
Kelsey had a question before she had bad connection, which is there anything that you've lost that you wish you could have back?
Yes, and lucky for me, I have a good person that was able to obtain that for me. So my answer's got to be no now. And what I'm talking about was halitosis breath from Thug Pug. Those are just the breath varieties, because I have a cultivar that I made. It was Lumpy's Apple Fritter, or it is Lumpy's Apple Fritter by Banana Breath, and I'm in the middle of F2ing it because I sold F1s and they just sold out very fast, and I only had a certain amount left. I thought, gosh, I gotta F2 this. But the halitosis breath, I got back. A lot of times people end up losing inadvertently, but let's say you start with a Jack the Ripper, and you cross it into something, and you know what, I forgot to take a clone of that Jack the Ripper, and now it's already in this cultivar. So it's important to keep a good solid mother room and not let your mother room get out of hand, because it's really, I made that mistake, is why I say that. Mother plants and stud keepers just would grow out of it, and I wasn't working with them at the time, so it's important to keep things at a pretty small size, just to keep in the realm of a seedling size. So unless you're working with it, so I go to great lengths not to lose anything. But yeah, halitosis breath. I was like, somebody punched me in the gut when I lost that. I thought my halitosis, But I got it back, because that was a really huge, robust outdoors, and you know how the potential for plants in this county can get in there. Just enormous, beautiful sight. You just stand there, and it's beautiful. But, yeah. and some land races that I have yet to obtain. So there's a good buddy of mine that started the Stink Bank with me. He passed away, and before he did, he gave me his land race collection, which was unbelievable. So that's a big thing, because we had a pretty much a side project going with just land races that were like, he had went and gotten some from Oaxaca, some Oaxacan, a couple of different varieties, Panama Reds, and working with those and the Manipuri, that's a whole other project, but it's just very long. You're talking months and months and months, but I'm always hunting, so that's what if I'm not hunting artifacts, I'm in the garden. I'm always working.
Well, there's a time coming where everyone's going to come together in this conversation, and you guys are just going to have so much fun. We're all going to have
absolutely. Well, because I look forward to it, because it has the potential to be something really great to have a central location, easily accessible, that has all of what anybody is looking for, and someone that's got something that someone else needs. It's just a good feeling to know you have something that someone else needs, and you're able to pass it along and hope that they get the same joy out of it that you do. It's not about claiming it as much as it's finding your own expression of it, breeding it yourself, or if it's just, if someone enters that run-of-the-mill, let's say they have a GMO or something, well, they got a good pheno of it, upload it right, and it's great. So there's a lot of options with how you can upload and trademark, I say, but put it into Canopy right, so it's always there. It's not going anywhere. So
where?
Yeah, and I
Lele, I gotta go.
Okay.
With my kids.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah.
You want to? Any
But,
last questions?
Jeff, it was very nice talking to you.
It was fantastic to meet you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
you
for
too.
joining us.
Oh,
on this
yeah.
mission.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Very much obliged.
Appreciate you coming, Andrew. Can you let everyone know before we close this out how they can find you besides in Canopy Right when we go live on the 30th?
Would say that. I'm sorry if you broke up a minute. Say that. I'm sorry. One more time.
That's okay. I was just saying, can you let folks know how to find you besides in Canopy Right?
Yeah, Stink Bank, this Stink Bank page, and my personal page, which is much bigger and much older, is Cross Creek Cannabis. Cross Creek Cannabis was my. That's what it's funny. That's sort of what I'm known for more than Stink. The Stink Bank was just our seed and breeding project. But Cross Creek Cannabis, my uncle, who I know he'd be proud. He's not here, but he can't. He had Cross Creek. What wasn't cannabis? He lived in North Carolina in the '80s. He wasn't gonna call anything Cross Creek Cannabis, but he just. It was a joke. He got a Cross Creek Cannabis, and I continued on. So that's how you can find me.
Okay. Well, thank you. And you'll also be able to find you in Canopy Right after January 30th. We're going live with this. Yeah. If anybody wants to hop in before, just reach out to me here through Canopy Right on Instagram, and we'll get right back to you, or go to the website, www.canopyright.info, and we'll shoot you an email. And the rest of you, I'm just going to keep bugging you, those that I've been bugging, because as you can see, this really is something that's going to work for folks, for the plant wizards, the breeders and lovers of this plant. And you can shoot us a note. We'd love to get you in early. But we'll be live on the 30th. And tomorrow,
I will be there.
Not tomorrow. Yes, and on Friday, same time, 4 o'clock, we're going to have the woman who's on the other side of that camera, Sandra Castaneda Lepp, and she's been helping us get folks into the system,
Yeah.
and also has her own journey around the plant as a plant curator
Yeah.
to tell.
And I consider Sandy a very, very good friend and a very, very good mentor. There's not a lot of people like her, and that's yeah, she's been through a lot. She's a heck of a mentor, and she knows her stuff. So you gotta
having her
you
involved.
gotta remember, Eddie left, followed her.
Well, we're going to talk about that on Friday.
Yeah, no, they're great people. Fantastic family. Great.
So,
Great
Steve,
people.
before we sign off, do you have anything you want to say to everybody?
I appreciate the people that are here on my behalf. I thank you so much. People that I've worked with for years are on here. I have my buddy Bud Barn, a couple people I was in the Navy with are on here. So, and now to support, I love you guys. I appreciate it, and thank you for sticking with it. Keep on crushing it.
Thank you, Andrew, for being an authentic human being and really loving this plant. And
well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, you gotta. If you don't love it, you can't. You're not gonna. I just think if you don't have a true love for it, you're not gonna make anything of it. You're gonna just keep.
I've been around this plant my entire life, and it's really the.
Yeah, I see you, Bud Barn. I see you, bro.
That make the magic. It really.
Yeah.
It's. Some of my favorite folks is I've gone into their gardens and I leave, and it's like they just made love to their girlfriends because of the way they just.
Damn right.
The plant.
Yeah. It's funny. My ex-girlfriend, she actually used to get jealous, kind of like Valerie Bertinelli with Eddie Van Halen. She just couldn't stand him always playing the guitar. And my ex-girlfriend would come out of the garden and why are you so happy? So I just had a face full of fun. That's why. Nice. It was a great talk. Look forward to continuing on, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, everyone. Hey, Scoots. We'll be back on Friday, you guys, at 4:00. Blessings. Please reach out so we can get on a Zoom or something and show you guys the system.
Absolutely.
Talk to you later, everybody. Bye, Andrew.
See ya. Bye-bye. See ya. Signing off.